speaker. Joy Mariama Smith is a native Philadelphian, currently based in Amsterdam. Rooted in socially engaged art practice, they are an artist, an activist, a facilitator, a curator, a researcher, a dramaturg, and an architectural designer. An ongoing question in their work is, what is the interplay between the body and its physical environment? A warm welcome. And Christian, you're almost not green anymore, so I'm also going to introduce you. Christian Guerematchi is a Slovenia-born performance artist coming from classical ballet and creating in contemporary dance. Born in Yugoslavia as a queer person of color, he is seeking to redefine the borders of black versus white, male versus female, east versus west, and north versus south. One more warm applause for Christian, please. And Joy, what is your first reaction to the performance?
Okay, it's very dense. I would say super layered. I think I'm the one person in the audience that didn't get a piece of paper, so
that's good.
Yeah, so I don't have that experience, but also knowing Chris and having conversations with Chris, I was expecting something that was really dense and had a lot of different themes and really many entry points that are all really complex. I think the opening sequence and the first image is already a really loaded image, and then for the remaining time, like those images that were often not just a singular image, so literally layered, but also the associations with those images. So I'm definitely still processing.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So what was one of the themes that you picked up?
Well, I was thinking about, from the opening image, actually ritual and performance, which isn't something that we talked about, either one of us talked about before now, but relating that to different lineages of animism in different cultures, like not just African or African diasporic or black culture, but also various cultures in Europe and other places, like me being also indigenous to the Americas. This persona, and I don't know yet. I'd be curious to know of the relationship to ritual and performance. But this figure of that is represented in a lot of different cultures that has a significance in certain rituals of either its hay or fur or fabric, and the bells, etc. So that was the first thing. I was like, what am I being called into or participating in? And then I think, just to talk briefly about the ending, for me, my associations also coming from the United States of this like figurehead that's sort of between like politics and preaching. So coming from maybe a more natural or certain like pre-Christian sort of history to a very Christian reference for me, and I also don't know if that was what was going on, but this is what
maybe we should ask Christian.
A person in a suit with a book. There's lots of reasons for that, but that's also the first sort of layer of images that came up. I'm curious.
Yes, may I reflect to that? Yeah, indeed. Actually, I was kind of juxtaposing the animist past of Europe with the animist culture of Africa, past or present, because I come from a Slavic country, and this is actually very much alive, this animist past and this animist mythology, kind of. But it has been overshadowed, of course, with what we also call now European values, which is Christianity. And it's kind of becoming something higher, erect, is for me like a symbol to become civilized. But what does it mean to be civilized? So yes, definitely, it was this kind of idea of becoming civilized, becoming Christian, becoming, having the values. But I question what these values actually are. I'm myself not Christian. I am actually very much. My name is
your
Christian.
name. Yeah.
But
That's it.
but I think because of that, I do take the liberty to really criticize Christianity because. Because I'm baptized actually also.
Oh, okay.
But I grew up in a communist environment. My mother was communist, my aunt was communist, so I wasn't allowed to go to church. So that's why I was interested in this kind of symbolics and.
Baptized, but you weren't allowed to go to church.
Yeah, it's a complicated story.
Okay,
Of,
I had so many questions, but
just very short. A complicated story of different races. So my father is from the Central African Republic, and he married my mom from Slovenia, a white woman with a black man. They had to Christian me because a part of my family is very Christian. So already they kind of rejected us, our part of the family, because my father is black, so they were kind of rejecting us already. And my mother didn't dare to not baptize me. So I feel now kind of empowered to rail against it.
Yeah, and was also the animism theme was also a way to find something that was that the two cultures had in common. So the Slovenian and the Congolese.
I would say the Slavic and the African.
Okay.
Yeah, because if I say European, everybody will be like, oh, what? We are so different, we are so this and that. But the Slavic culture really embraces this animist culture, past or whatever, symbolism.
And we also have to say that, Joy, you're also here because one of the big books that inspired you to make this performance was On Cuddling, Loved2Death in a Racial Embrace by Phanuel Antwi. And you recommended the book to him. Why did you do so?
Well, I mean, I love books, and I love Phanuel, and I love this book. And I think I had seen like your funk, and
Another performance?
Yeah, another performance by which is an ensemble work, and maybe Afrofutury, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, some time passed, and then Phanuel's book came out, and Phanuel also came to Amsterdam, and basically, I became like a champion of this book because of my own personal relationship to cuddling, but the problematics that are presented in this book. I have the book in my bag if anyone wants to see the book. I highly recommend reading the book, and I highly recommended it to Chris. I was like, my experience as a Black person and understanding, racial capitalism, for example, but also kind of the conundrum or precarity of Blackness and care and decolonialism, even this, which I think is referenced in the text that you speak at the end of like the complexity of the word hold or being held in English, how it has connotations with incarceration, connotations with care, being held against your will, or also an embrace. So that what I love about Phanuel's book is it's really confrontational, I think, for whatever your background, if you have a racialized experience or not.
What did you recognize?
I think the themes that Chris is working with in this work in particular address some of the themes related to just identity before you get to racialized identity, like just identity and how complex it is and how you're proposing, because I think for me, I also saw visuals of like when you put the bowl on your head and are walking towards the stage, the way that you're carrying yourself is very different. And to me, has a different gender presentation than the other bodies that you pass through in the work. Also knowing that you're really trained in ballet, and what I, also having taken ballet, but the references of sort of fracture is maybe the words that I would use, of sort of fracturing and crossing something that is grotesque. You know, this is what is in the book, like the precarity of the racial embrace, where there's violence and care at the same time. And I think for me, the way I read your work, and some of the layers are talking about this conundrum of many things being inhabited at the same time, which, you know, we're all complex human beings, so the capacity to hold all of these identities, and not having to present them as a binary, but just have an experience of, yeah, I can be Christ and Savior and rock and chair and black and Slovenia and European, and not those things exist and maybe aren't fixed. And I think this is also what I admire, at least in this iteration of the work, that there's so many layers. I also wrote down the word mask and masking a lot. But I would love to hear from Chris also.
First a few words about the book. Indeed, Joy, you came to Funk, the performance, which was kind of a game between Afrofuturism and Afro-pessimism, like again juxtaposition. And I was very taken away by after when you recommended the book, and then I read it, and it was very physical, and also the idea of cuddling as an embrace, cultural. I immediately went to the cultural embrace, because this is something what we share, and culture is something that, you know, it's the lullaby, but it's also all the other songs, let's say, and it's also the hooligan songs, you know. So you have all this gradation of things, and the text was to me very physical. So immediately I got like triggered, like how, in what way can we kind of share something that is so beautiful, but at the same time so heavy, but we don't experience it the same. So this already was something that there's a friction in it that I really wanted to engage in, and
also that there are different people in an embrace, and they feel different things.
Yeah, like I really went to, because then I went to Ljubljana, and I had a residency there, and I really went to this cultural embrace. That kind of like literally translated to me like the racial embrace to me was immediately the cultural embrace in which I was born. So the culture that I grew up that incompensates racism. But for me, not for other people, or maybe for the Romas, you know, in Slovenia then. And so this is something. But
can you give an example of the difficulty of that embrace, that cultural embrace for you?
Yes, it's still there. Anytime I say like I'm Slovenian, no, but Slovenians are not black. So what am I then? Like, what is then my language? What is the Slovenian lullaby to me? What is the Slovenian hymn? What they call national song? Like, or am I not supposed to say that I am that? The thing with me is that I didn't grow up with my African culture. So my father, I didn't grow up with my father. So I don't have African references. I don't have African lullabies or, you know, songs, hooligan songs or whatever. I only have that part. And I believe that we, as a, you know, global society, we also have one culture. But why does it embrace us in different ways? So this is kind of still staying boiling in my head. And this, by the way, it's a research, so it's an ongoing piece. It's not the definitive piece, which you can see probably on. Today I tried for the first time the paint of my body. So sorry, Lily and Suniva, if you got a white or anybody here, I'm sorry for that. But still, this kind of the strong words, the physical words of culture slash embrace or cuddle is something that still haunts me.
And before we go to the audience, questions from the audience, we also have to talk about the text, the speech at the end. Because there are different people, speeches of different people like Trump and Mugabe and...
Yomanda.
Yeah. Yomanda, we almost forgot about her.
People know Yomanda still in the Netherlands? A few.
So, what have those people in common for you? Why did you put them together?
Yeah, I would say what they all have in common, I think what we all have now in common with information is information. Lots and tons of information, different points of view, different statements that we kind of have to navigate because of all the technology that we have, the bombardment of ideas, wishes, and impositions. And in a way, it is, I believe that the Soviet Union was doing this to its citizens. They were creating a hyper-reality. So they were bombarding people with information and telling them that life is like this on TV. But what they were seeing in reality was a Soviet Union that was falling apart. I do believe that we are now in such a state of American imperialism that we are witnessing a numbness of the intellect. So,
what way?
Come again?
In what way?
Well, for example, just Trump's speech is there, inaugural speech, and if you just, I mean, this could be an inspiration by itself, like just throwing in stuff and making something completely different out of it, and making people believe it. I think this is kind of the formula that, it's kind of being thrown on us through technology and through the way of the globalized culture that we kind of want to embrace, try to embrace. We want to be stars, we want to be this, we want to have a say, we want to have a like. So we just produce, we say things, you know, and you see this also in the communication that we do on social media and stuff, the new way of communicating, that it's not very conscious what we say, but it's very reactive. So all of these quotes are very reactionist quotes, besides the On Cuddling, which I really used to give the depth of something that really struck me and is important to me is the anti-black world that is being described, and the anti-black culture that is through the culture, the dominant culture that we have, still being kept alive. So I wanted to really put this, not just saying it and people would say like, oh yeah, it's so bad, oh yeah, it's so bad. I wanted to do something more recognizable, something more white. And then, yeah, like Trump, like Yomanda. But
I think it's still 50-50.
Come again?
I think it's still 50-50. Trump,
It's pretty much
Yomanda,
50-50
and Mugabe,
because my criticism
and,
goes very much also to the dominant African culture, the homophobia in Africa, the ways of closing doors to things that are considered Western, but are maybe more general and human. So I do think that also the lesson to be learned is also in Africa that it's very important to love your own people, you know, and not reject them because of something like a sexuality that you say is from the West. Because now it's a really important period also, I think, for Africa. And Europe needs to find itself, but I think Africa is really on a way kind of to go into a new direction. So I wanted to take this as well, and not just be like, oh yeah, Africa is great, but here we need to think about our racism. So I wanted to be a little bit 50-50. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, let's go to the audience. Okay. Wait, I'm coming to you because otherwise we can't hear you.
Okay. I didn't really understand, Christian, what you meant by reactive, that the texts are reactive.
That the text is reactive?
No, you
said reactive somewhere.
Just to elaborate from your side.
The speeches
I think I was referring to the speeches. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But what's the reactive about it? I didn't.
Well, they have a certain load, they have a certain intention, and they really come across. So it's these one-liners, or newspaper, because we have it on our feeds and everywhere. I do think that we are kind of conditioned now to just give this like ba 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 ba, like I am right because you are not because of this. Like so, in that sense, I think that is very reactive of how we communicate with each other and what we find as acceptable as a speech, political speech, or a Facebook post or an Instagram post. Did I? Yeah, a little bit?
Thanks. More questions?
Thanks for the question.
Maybe also your reaction on the text. Or the explanation of the text.
Yeah, I mean, just to sort of dovetail or piggyback on what Chris is saying about reactionary, because I did recognize some segments of the text. And maybe this links to what I was saying around like preacher, politician, but also like TikTok. As a person that's not on social media and doesn't have a smartphone, one of the things I really liked, I think it's like I would really love to discuss with you the dramaturgy of this work and when certain entrances and exits occurred, but we can do that some other time.
Yes, I'd love to. Yes.
But this moment where it's like when the phone becomes visible and the camera becomes live instead of a video feed and this transition, but also when I start to click into what you're saying, and because of the things that I recognize, what my relationship, especially right now, to text that is reactionary is often to sort of mediate it, where I get to decide if I'm like a certain tone and a certain catchphrase I'm already tuning out, because these things are said in a way to cause a certain reaction, a certain bodily reaction, where they might be designed for you to sort of turn off your brain and just be like, and react. And this is like quite literally reactionary, right? I'm not thinking, I'm just kind of like, and then it's already happened, and then I'm like, wait, what? And I think that's also something in terms of society. Beware of when that's happening, and I think it's a very complex and really nuanced way to sort of make that visible in the work, like to mimic that as a social political commentary. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Jason Drent, who made the scenography and the visuals, and also the Balie to kind of use this. It was really nice to have this kind of what do you call this?
Screen?
Three
Screens?
Yeah, the
projector.
No, what's the Christian Trinity? The Trinity. The Trinity of. It was very inspiring. It was very inspiring.
So there are no more questions from the audience, or yeah, okay.
I was wondering, because at the beginning of the performance you were kind of like in your furry costume when you were interacting with the audience, and I thought it would look like cuddling with the audience. What did you mean with that action?
Yeah, it is layered again. One part is definitely from the book. We could also talk about the Teddy Roosevelt situation. Maybe you can say more about that. So this is one part, and the other part...
So what about it, Teddy Roosevelt's situation? What do you mean by that?
I can shortly say, so in the book On Cuddling, there is a chapter or a segment on the teddy bear, which is a plush, like the origins of the teddy bear and why it's called Teddy, which is after Teddy Roosevelt. But this idea of the go-to, like there was a time in the American history where the teddy bear was the sort of symbol of cuddly, but it's related to this political figure and the implications of that, and also the role. I mean, there's a larger context around that. But I think what Chris is speaking to is this. For me, it's quite sinister, and I think like a lot of the things you're doing are quite sinister. I see what you're doing there. Is this like, right, I'm going to come close to you and sort of nuzzle you, but it's also, there's an underside to everything, is maybe what I would add.
Yeah, definitely. And I believe that this is the way the culture cuddles me. So I bring the sinister things back to the audience to share. But the other part is actually literally inspired by a kurent. That is a demon in Slovenian like Slavic mythology, and he comes at the end of winter and hushes away the winter. And then they have these bells and stuff. And the question for me was like, what does this demon that I'm now, sharing, what does he chase away? And to me, I couldn't get rid of this kind of idea that we are now constantly hushing away, like sending away people. I'm talking about migration situation that we have, and go away and go away and go away. So I was really thinking about this kurent, this demon, chasing away people. Because usually it's supposed to chase away the bad energy. But in a nationalist thinking, this is also the bad people that need to be chased away. So this kind of, what are we actually, chasing away? What are we calling? Where do we want to go? Where do we want to come? I wanted to be a little bit ambiguous, so also that you can interpret it by yourself. But I'm happy that it's sinister.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's really packed, the performance. I think we can talk for more and more hours, but we can do that at the bar. So applause for Joy Mariana Smith. And of course, for Christian Guerematchi.
Thank you very much.